with the lightning breeze in the waving tree of all different far away. Oh, it's there the folks are kindly, it's there the welcome grand, and the people are both big and small, in that good happy land. You'll sit by every fireside and climb mugs of tea, and a cake near a fountain, all different far away. Oh, God be with you, Thomas Town, where first I saw the light in that old thatched homestead, when snowy Christmas night, and the castle on Mount Blakeney, that it all splendid days, when lads and ladies dallied in, all different far away. Oh, it's there the folks are kindly, it's there the welcome grand, when the people are both big and small, in that good happy land. There's a seat by every fireside, and flowing mugs of tea, and a cake near a fountain, all different far away. In Puppy Ballyhora, lads are over Ballamac, where I cut a top when the times are tough. I still got an ache in that, and in Kilfan there sleeps a man whose hat was a nightingale, over rush a rambling Tegan, all different far away. I can see again Harry Murphy sang the Bishop of New. I can see again our Patrick is inside fresh and green, and the unknown church where St. Patrick once had been, and I'm sure his prayers were answered, and it came on distant day. It is given us to Bishop now, in all different far away. Oh, it's there the folks are kindly, it's there the welcome grand, when the people are both big and small, in that great happy land. There's a seat by every fireside, and flying mugs of tea, and a cake near a farm.
I would like to welcome you all here tonight, and for the first time, I would like the people of Effin to put their hands together and give a great round of applause to all of the class and our costume today. I must introduce the team, you know, here on video we have Canon Hays, here on sound we have Mike Murphy.
Makes up jaws.
I'm welcome to the MC here. Min back home and min back home.
Listen to this now.
But Jimmy Reidy will go on for it.
Hey.
Without further ado, over to you.
Well, we're delighted to be here with you tonight, and we hope we'll have a nice recording with you, have stories and music, and Veronica will start us off. We'll get her recording there. We'll have to work with her after then. She does a bit of adjudicating things. And if someone can come on with a song after that, then we'll tell you as we go along. Right, so. I'll just say first of all. And first here in Effin we have Fernand Crochet on the accordion and some Irish traditional music.
lovely Rose of Clare.
Veronica continues now with My Lovely Rose of Clare. Was playing that lovely music for you, and a very musical lady. She's a former Mallow lady, and Veronica, I believe you're an adjudicator as well.
That's right, yes, that's right, Jim.
What type of, is it music you?
General, everything in general. Dancing, music, recitation, half sets, you know, the Irish dancing and everything.
And where, you know, what type of competitions?
Scoring and Ogue, all scoring and Ogue. You know.
And how did it come about? How did you get going in this business?
Well, I was qualified in Mallow when I was there, and I was taught by the nuns actually in the Mercy Convent, and I just went along from there, you know. Was
there some special course you had to do to qualify you for the job?
Not really, no. I was trained in general for everything, and I carried on from there, you know.
How did it happen the first time someone came along and asked you, would you do it?
Actually, they did. Martin Condon and Kevnes came along to me and asked me to know would I do it for the Charleville, and I did it, and I was called back every year to do it after that.
Is it at local level, or have you done North Cork?
I have done North Cork as well, yes. I have, yes.
Is North Cork the biggest place you've been?
Well, I adjudicated the one in Mourneabbey, the finals of the Scorn and Ogue in Mourneabbey.
And now, have you set rules? What do you look for certain aspects of a player or a singer?
Well, you get the nervous type of person, you know, they could be quite good, but if they're shaking and over and heather, you know, you just have to be standing still, we'll say, for competitions like that, you know.
You have certain categories, I suppose.
That's right.
So many points for...
Oh, so many points out of 20, you know. And
how many different types of presentation and music and...
Oh, yes, the presentation means everything.
Does it?
It does, yes.
Is it as important nearly
as
it is very
the
important.
musician itself? It is very important, yes, it is.
And you do a few days every year?
I do, yes. Mostly from November until January. You know, that's the main time they do the Scorn and Ogue.
And you played a bit of music as well then?
Oh, I do, yes. I play the organ in the church here in Effin, which I'm proud to be able to do. And we have a lovely choir. And
I believe you sing in that choir?
Well, I used to sing until I started to play, you know. But it's very hard to do both, as you know. And sometimes I give them a hand, all right, you know. Sometimes we're lacking in the choir, you know. And
you fill in
the gap.
That's right.
You know.
And do you ever sing solo now in the choir? Would you ever have a solo part for a ceremony?
No.
Would you not?
No, we don't.
And of course you sing the odd song at the concerts and things.
I do,
then,
yes,
I believe.
I do.
And we might trouble you now for one of those songs, Veronica. Any drink there, like. And Veronica is along now with a great number, very popular last year there. Jib Bighead was the man that made it popular, number called Grace.
As we gathered in the chapel here in old Kilmainham jail, I think about these past few weeks. Oh, will they say we failed? From our school days they have told us we must yearn for liberty. Yet all I ask in this dark place is to have you here with me. Oh, Grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. Then take me out to Dun and I will die. With all my love I place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye. Now I know it's hard for you, my love, to ever understand the love I have for these brave men, my love for this dear land. But when Padre called me to his side down in the GPO, I had to leave my own sick bed. To him I had to go. Oh, Grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. Then take me out to Dun and I will die. With all my love I place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye. Now as the dawn is breaking, my heart is breaking too. On this May morn as I walk out, my thoughts will be with you. And I'll write these words upon the wall so everyone will know I love so much that I could see his blood upon a rose. Oh, Grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. Then take me out to Dun and I will die. With all my love I place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye. Oh, there won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye.
David O'Brien, and he was a member of the Muintir na Tíre. David, you're welcome along.
Thank you very much.
Is it long in Effin, the Muintir na Tíre?
The Muintir na Tíre was established here the 18th of March 1949 by the Reverend Father James Maloney, was the PP at the time. And there was a specially convened meeting held above the school. That was the inaugural meeting.
Was there many at that first meeting, Dave?
Well, actually, I wasn't there, but I have dim details from the minute book. The minute book, the original minute book, is in my possession.
And was it very strong at that time? The internet here was very strong in the country around that time.
Oh, it was very strong, definitely.
That wasn't long founded at that time. Canon Hays.
No, Canon Hays founded it in 1937.
That's right. And it was
getting into its peak at that time, I'd say.
Yeah. Would you say it lasted for many years then? You know, it isn't. It's in a very weak.
It's in a bit of a decline now, definitely.
Would you say that the community councils have taken over from it?
They have affected it a lot, all right.
Yeah.
I'd say it went into decline, I'd say, around the middle of the late 60s.
Was it a great advantage in a parish?
Oh, it was definitely a great advantage here.
Was it?
It was.
You built a hall?
Because, I mean, the parish at that time was in a very run-down state.
What way would you be talking there now? What is it facility-wise?
Everywhere. And church property-wise and cemetery-wise, road-wise.
Would you say that you had power then to influence the council or something when you spoke about roads there?
They had. When I was reading the minute book now, I read the minutes of the early meetings here. It was 1950 I came in. And the members at that time now, they're all departed now actually. There was Dan Brown and Justin McCarthy. And you had the Reverend Father McCarthy, he was the curate here at that time. They established deputations and they actually went into the county council and they brought pressure on the county council to do something about the roads. They were in a deplorable state at that time.
You'd say we'd want them again at the moment, would you?
I would, I'd say. There's a lot of potholes coming around anyway.
There's another one here and there. And other members there now, can you remember him back there? Dave, there was a gentleman there, I think he was very active in it. Was he your secretary? And Bertie?
Oh, he was here at the original meeting. Bertie Prendergast. He was a live wire from the very beginning. How I got into it originally was I came up, as I tell you, it was established in March 1949. And I came up to the first annual general meeting in the Mill Hall up here the road.
That was a small hall there.
That was a small hall. And who presided at that meeting was Canon Hays himself.
The great man from Banshee.
And that's the day I was roped in. You see.
Were you all very active, all the members? Was there many members for the staff?
Oh, there was a...
Would you have 20 or 25?
There'd be 35, I'd say.
Would there?
Different sections.
And they were all very active?
Oh, they were all very enthusiastic.
And got the work done. Did you start to build a hall here then, this hall we're in tonight?
Well, as I tell you, I read up the minutes, and at the second or third meeting that they held, I see from the minutes, they discussed the position of providing the place with a parish hall. And there was an abortive attempt made to purchase the old Mill Hall. And I see from the minutes that there was a meeting held at the Creamery, the Effin Co-op. And the decision to sell the Mill Hall to the Guild was defeated by 32 votes to 31 for £400. And looking back in it, I'd say it was the most successful defeat that ever took place. Because if it took place, I don't know would this hall be here at all.
Well, more than likely, I suppose you'd go onto the Mill Hall and try to improve the facilities
we'd
there.
go to refurbish it, I suppose.
That's right, and it would never be anything
We'd
like
never think it is.
Because I suppose this hall here made...
So after that decision, the whole aim of the committee then was to build a new hall in the parish. And from that moment on, they started to build a fund. They ran 45 drives, concerts. We established a drama group of our own. And we ran draws. We were building up a fund. And we were told in the early days that one of the best ideas of making money was to run a dance. So we decided to run a dance in Kilmallock. And the first dance we ever ran in Kilmallock was the first Sunday night in December 1951. The band that played that night was the late Major Watts band from Cork. He lived over near Kilmallock. And we made £100 profit that night. And from that time, we never looked back.
It was a lot of money that time.
It was a show of money that time.
You would have no idea. Was it built into one go, or was there several times that you had to stop for the want of funds?
No, we didn't pull into the green field here until we had a fund of about up to £1,500. But of course, that was in the early 50s. Now we were starting to fund build. But in 1954, the Reverend Gerard Wall was appointed a curate here. And it was actually he masterminded the building of the parish hall. He was after being 3 or 4 years in St Mary's Parish in Limerick. And he built the hall. And he gave us extra know-how of how to raise money. And the first thing he did was he started to run weekly draws. We ran 20 weekly draws at a shilling a line for 3 years. That was 1955, 6 and 7. And the three of them, those 3 years, realised £1,000. And we had £500 or £600 proceeds from the dances in Kilmallock. So by the time we came in here to the green field to lay the foundation, we had a fund of about £1,500.
Was there a priest always involved in the committee here, Dave?
There was, definitely.
You would say that a priest is very active.
I'd say he's very...
He has the power to get money anyway.
Well, of course, he's a sort of a leader in the parish, if you like.
Yeah, he's looked up to.
He is.
And
but of course, at that time, of course, the two men that were looked up to in the parish was the creamery manager and the parish priest. Yeah, well, but I think they're gone into decline, to tell you the truth.
Would you say they deserve to be gone into decline a bit, maybe? The creamery manager isn't there anymore.
No. Well, I'll tell you, they tell you it's progress, I don't know.
Well, that's the word they use anyhow.
Yeah.
He bought the site.
We bought a site from a neighbouring farmer here for £50.
You got going on the hall then? All voluntary work?
It was all voluntary work, except whatever skilled men we had to get in. We made the blocks ourselves, actually. We bought a cement mixer. And we arranged for 6 or 7 men to be here every evening, working the block maker. And we'd make maybe 100 blocks in the evening. That went on for months, until we had enough of blocks. And
you had to go on the foundations in, of course, for a start.
We had to go on the foundations in. Oh, look, actually, the whole foundation for this hall was laid in one day. There was actually, I'd say 90 workmen here the same day. And there was about 20 of the ladies committee. They provided them with refreshments. The first day, the whole thing went in the one day.
And it was all done with shovels, I suppose?
It was all done with shovels and spades. It was all excavated. There was no JCB that time.
No cement mixer, of course?
That was 1956.
How many years did it take to build it, to the day it was opened?
We had a second visit in from Canon Hays. Canon Hays arrived here for the laying of the foundation stone the 15th of May, the evening of the 15th of May 1956. And I'd say they did representatives from every family in the parish turn out. I definitely say it was the biggest event that ever took place in this parish. He was accompanied by a motorcade from the church in Kilmallock to the place outside there where he laid the foundation stone.
Of course, he was a very famous man, wasn't he?
He was at his peak that time, I'd say. And when all the speeches and all were delivered outside there, they adjourned to the school then for the general meeting that night. That was the 15th of May, 56.
How many years then before he arrived again to perform the opening ceremony?
Well, unfortunately, he died in 1957. He died suddenly, about the month of March.
He never saw the completion?
He never saw it completed.
So
but he gave, the first day he came, he gave a very inspiring address about providing a hall for the parish.
And he as you say, he never lived to see it opened. Who didn't perform the opening ceremony then? And what happened? What was the procedure in that great day?
During 56 and 57, the foundations were laid down, of course, and the walls were built, and Bat Sexton did the roof, and McMahon's of Limerick put down the maple floor, and it was actually opened, of course, before it was 100% completed. But I mean, the main structure and the roof and all was there. It was opened, the official opening took place the 23rd of March 1958. And the official opening was done by the chairman of the Muintir na Tíre, the national chairman of Muintir na Tíre at that time, the Reverend P. Morrissey. And, there was a lot of notables on the stage that night. There was the county manager of Limerick at the time, the late P.J. Megan, and the late Jim Finn, he was an engineer in Sharafel. And of course, Father Wall himself. And Canon Quinlan, he was the parish priest here at the time. It was opened with a concert and variety items.
All local effort, was it?
It was all local effort.
And can you remember when the first dance took place, or the band that played for that opening
I do
dance?
well. The first dance took place here the 9th of April 1958. And the band that played that night was Tommy Cleary from Limerick. He had a show band on the road at him. The band on the road. And the next dance took place after that then was the 30th of that month, Morris Mulcahy. That was the first big band that came in here.
How long did it continue as a very popular dancing mecca then?
It continued as a popular dancing mecca for 25 years.
25 years.
We were coming into our height when the boom in the show band came on. We were just there at the right time. We were actually one of the first new halls to be built in the country. We were 3 and 4 years before Drumkeen, the Majestic in Mala, the Olympic in Newcastle West. We were the only new hall in County Limerick.
And you stayed successful right through, even those big halls were built, and Effin still remained very popular and drew the crowds all through. Had you any, was there, what would you put down for that? Was it the atmosphere of the place or what?
I don't know, it became a mecca for dancers. So there did people come here from far-flung areas. There did people come here actually from West Cork, and they were coming hither from Tipperary and down from Clare. Big nights now that you'd have a big show band playing here. Who was in his prime that time was the late Donny Collins. The place would be thronged. There wouldn't be standing room here.
And then when did you notice that the decline started to set in?
There did a couple of declines occur. The first decline that I noticed was during the first oil crisis of 73. It went down, but it came back again. And it dropped again 3 or 4 years after, but it recovered again. But in the last recession in 79, it went down that time and it never came back. Down through the years, it went up and down. You know, it had its peaks and valleys.
Do you regret that this dancing is no more in Effin?
Well, of course, I'll tell you now, it's like everything else. I suppose everything has its day. The trends change. Years and years ago, before the show band shot was the fourpenny hop. And they're gone into the discos now.
And before that then it was the crossroad, I suppose.
It was, that's right, that's the crossroad. The whole thing is a progression.
But of course these discos are the job now.
Oh, they are, definitely.
Definitely, yeah.
They're attracting the youngsters anyway.
Yeah. Dave, that's a great rundown in the hall in Effin. I very near said the Effin Hall, which would be the wrong thing to say there. And thank you for telling us all about it, and also about the Muintir na Tíre.
Thank you very much.
Now after Dave O'Brien there, we have Veronica O'Shea back again and some more old-time waltzes. Now after Veronica there, we have Jim Brennan, who lives here in Effin for years. But Jim, you're a former Newtown man, I believe.
Yeah, I came over here to Effin close on 50 years ago now.
Did that treat you well? They must have when you stayed.
They're nice people in Effin, County Limerick.
Well, you'd better say that, you know, now, because you'll be probably here for a few more years before you go back to Newtown, I suppose.
They're good people in Effin. I'm nearly Limerick man now. The only time I'm a Corkman is when Cork are hurling.
And what about when Newtown play? What were you?
Well, I've been for not so much. I like when Cork, but I'm in a bit of a spot like when they're playing Limerick in the Munster final.
You must be quiet yourself.
I have to stay quiet that day.
No, I might take you back a few years to life in Newtown while you grew up.
When I went to school.
When you went to school, Jim?
Yeah, to Willie Joe Holland, a tough man. Would
he slap you in that time?
He was no joke. But I can tell you, it was a tough time, like, to the start of the Irish. Like, and we didn't know much about Irish at that stage, but we got 3 months holidays. And Mr. Holland had to go to learn Irish. And of course, when he came back, we didn't know what he was talking about.
He wouldn't so well up in it either then, was he?
No, but he was fairly hard on us. But he was okay though. He taught us manners anyhow.
Very important, I suppose, that time.
It was. Good teacher. Oh, you wouldn't, you'd have to call him Sir anyhow, when you'd be titling him, himself and Mr. Buckley.
Back in that time, did they depend an awful lot on the stick to get education into fellas?
Very much.
Was it badly needed, maybe, some fellas?
I suppose they were having to keep us quiet.
When you left school then, Jim, what happened?
Oh, as Mr. Holland used to always say, there was always a few slow ones in the class, you know. But he'd often say to him, "You'll be soon joining your brothers now," and that was the donkey in car. Going to the primary, you know.
Well, you weren't in that category.
No, I wasn't in that category at all. No. But he would say, you know, if he had a few slow learners, they'd be soon joining their brothers, going to the creamery, you know. So they couldn't, of course, some fellas couldn't learn. But I started to work anyhow, and would you believe how much I had for the 12 months?
I suppose back in that time I could hardly guess, but I suppose you got the £100. They're laughing here, Jim. It must be too small or too big.
I worked for £12 for 12 months.
The work wasn't too hard though. And
the next year I got £6, whereas I got 18 for 12 months.
You were getting bigger, of course.
I was getting bigger.
Well.
But them were the wages that were going that time. And you'd be starting about anything from 5 in the morning till about, you'd have night creamery that time. And you'd have to work till about 8 o'clock that night.
What was the idea of the night creamery?
To keep the milk fresh.
Oh yes, that would be in the summertime, of course.
Yeah, there was no cooling that time.
But work wasn't very hard in farms that time. There wasn't much happening, was there?
There was lots of work, very hard work, because there was no machinery. You could spend a week walking after a pair of horses from 8:30 in the morning till 5 in the evening. No stop, and come in and milk 8 cows after that.
Milking cows, did you like that job?
I did. I was milking cows at about 14 years.
But of course, I suppose cows wouldn't have that much milk back in those days, would they?
Oh, well, they would. There was a lot of milk that time. There was. But then I moved to Effin. And I'm working here in Effin since. Worked the farmers here then.
Was there any difference between the Effin, or the farmers in Effin and the Newtown farmers? There it goes again, very near. Put
Very
my foot
nearly.
in there again.
Yeah. Not a whole lot. Heavier cows over here in County Limerick.
Better land.
Better land. Yeah, this is the Golden Vale, you know.
There's the plug for the people of Effin again there now. Now, Jim, did you see great changes down in farming once you left school until you to the present day?
Very much. Very much. Oh, the big change in farming. But no bothering farming now, sure. Plenty of machinery and everything. Milk cows and no bothering working.
Your set is much better than the old ways.
Oh, we worked harder. Oh, we got with it.
Was there as much pressure on people that time?
I wouldn't think so. No, they were happier, like. I think that time, because you see, they had no television or anything like that. They were all at home, quite happy.
You might tell me something about the weather that time. Did you think the summers were better long ago?
No, they were not. It was tough to save hair that time. Well, of course, I'll tell you, we used to be saving it from 1st of July nearly to the end of September. It was slow going. You'd have to cut it with the horses and mowing machine. There was no tractors that time. It was slow going.
You never worked the soy, I suppose, did you?
I did that.
Was there a seat in it?
No. No. Well, as you talk about that, I heard of a farmer there lately to say he was actually a young fella, and he was asking me now to go cleaning a dig for him and over to a shovel. By any chance is there a seat in it, soon I will.
That's what I was asking you there now, Jim, about the seat in the soy. It was tough all work cutting with the soy. What would you be cutting anyway with it?
Oats that time. Or you'd have the farmers that time used to cut all the backswarts with the soy. Corners and all that, going to the corners and all that time, and not for any sap ahead that'd be there. You'd have to cut away. Oh, the soy was a tough job, but that was the trick of the job was to put up edge. I wasn't much good at that job though, putting up edge.
There was a saying, you know, that a fella that could put up good edge, that he had a terrible temper. Do you ever hear that?
I did.
Was it true, I wonder?
I wouldn't think so. I tell you then, the fellow was good to tell lies. He was good to put up edge. But a good man, as I say, he had a special, he had a cranny in, I would call it, to edge the side, to draw the side. That was the secret.
That was to get into the proper shape or something, is it?
Yeah, put up edge. He was able to put up edge.
You tested with the tranny in?
No, edge it. You draw it. Fine it down.
What sort of a yoke was that?
A file bent in two. They'd been them were the old say more than no light. They used to cut long ago before the mowing machines came in.
And tell me, what did you think was the hardest work in the farm now, Jim, back in those days?
I'd say spending a full day piking hay to wines was a tough job. And you'd have to come on in and milk 10 cows at night. Maybe, and when you'd have that done, if the weather was tough, you'd have to go out after a supper and pike more till 10. That was a tough day's work.
But I suppose, would you think that men were stronger that time? Or they must have been.
They were stronger men, able to work like. You see, they were trained to it.
You'd say they weren't as well educated, though?
No, there was no education. There was no money that time for education. No, people hadn't so much money that time.
For the future now, what way do you see this farming going? Is it a very dodgy situation at the moment, isn't it?
A bit. This milk quota is upsetting the whole thing.
And you'd say that it'll sort itself out in time?
Might. I'd say so. Take a bit of time though, I think.
Hopefully.
Oh.
Have you any plans of going back to Newtown again, maybe?
No, I think he'll stay here now.
Do you think they mightn't accept you back there in Newtown now?
Well, number one, I think I wouldn't know him. I wouldn't know any young fella. I didn't know yourself until John Murphy taught me who you were. I wouldn't know any young fella there now. No.
So you'll stay with the people of Effin?
I'll stay with the people I know now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Again, and he's singing a song for us called The Old Bog Road.
My feet are here in Broadway, this blessed harvest morn, and all the ache that's in them for the spot where I was born. My weary hands are blistered from working cold and heat, and oh, to swing aside today through fields of Irish wheat. Have I the choice to wander back our own king's abode? 'Tis soon I'd see the hawthorn tree by the old bog road. My mother died last springtime, when Ireland's fields were green. The neighbours said her waking was the finest ever seen. There were snowdrops and primroses piled up beside her bed, and Ferrin's church was crowded when her funeral mass was said. But here am I in Broadway, with building bricks, my lord, when they carried out her coffin by the old bog road. And life's a weary puzzle, past finding out by man. I'll take the day for what it's worth, and do the best I can. Since no one cares a rush for me, what need to make a moan? I'll take my pen, draw my pay, and smoke my pipe alone. Each human heart must have its way, though bitter be its load. And God be with you, Ireland, and the old bog road. Good luck to me.
Now Margaret Queen is along, and she have a lovely song for us called Nobody's Child. Give her a big hand now.
As I was slowly passing an orphaned home one day, I stopped there for a moment just to watch the children play. Alone a boy was standing, and when I asked him why, he turned with eyes that could not see, and he began to cry. I'm nobody's child, I'm nobody's child. I'm like a flower just growing wild. No mommy's kisses and no daddy's smiles. Nobody wants me, I'm nobody's child. People come for children and take them for their own, but they all seem to pass me by, and I'm left here on my own. I know they'd like to take me, but when they see I'm blind, they always take some other child, and I am left behind. I'm nobody's child, I'm nobody's child. I'm like a flower just growing wild. No mommy's kisses and no daddy's smiles. Nobody wants me, I'm nobody's child. No, Mom. The church door was open as I stepped inside. I went there hoping that she'd change her mind. There were beautiful flowers in the bridal bouquet, where she stood at the altar in a veil of white lace. A stranger in silence reached out for her hand and placed on a finger a gold wedding band. There was happiness written in the smile on his face, but I couldn't see her 'neath the veil of white lace. I pity that stranger for all he could see. Was their life together for eternity? My heart fills with anger when I picture the face of a false-hearted figure in the veil of white lace. I reached in my pocket when the wedding was done. My hand touched the locket and fell on the gun. It shattered the silence as it left its trail. Strings of red crimson on a veil of white lace. I ran from the church door as I threw down my gun, but stopped at the doorstep, for there was something going on. My darling said she had decided to wed, dead to the stranger in the veil of white lace.
Terry Power, Mrs. Terry Power, and she's a member of the Effin and Garindurk Guild of the ICA. Is it a very strong guild, Terry?
Not at the moment, no, it isn't very strong, but we have been very strong. And we have a very loyal members.
How is it that it isn't, the membership is low at the moment now?
Well, the young people are not interested in the ICA, you know, as such, and it is a pity.
Do you not cater possibly for the young people?
Oh Lord, we would. We do craft work and all that kind of thing, you know. We're very active.
Very active.
Very, very active.
Now, craft work, what other functions do you fulfill?
We're open to do anything. We're very gamey lot.
Would you...
We cater for, we help with the fashion show, the
any
agricultural show in Charleville. Now we help the mentally handicapped, and we do all them things.
And
of course we were following the statues last year.
Oh yes, well, they were moving pretty fast.
Yeah, we were following the statues.
Yeah. Did you catch up to quite a few?
We caught up with a few of them.
Did you?
We did.
And
And we go on outings, and we're very nice. We keep the thing going like.
Just before we go on about the ICA, those statues, did you see them moving, Terry?
I can't say I did, but can't say I didn't either. They were very touching.
Well, that's a sort of a strange answer. You can't say you did or you can't say you didn't.
Well, no, that's a crooked answer, but that's it.
Well, that's what I'm trying to come at there, you know. And that you don't like to say you didn't because everyone said they saw them.
Well, everyone saw something, and they thought they saw it anyway, sure.
That's right. Imagination, I
Yeah,
say.
it's as good as a physic to a fool.
Very right. Back to the ICA immediately,
Yeah.
and you know, there's a thing about the ICA that people have this probably feeling about them, that there are a lot of women there. They get together and they have a cup of tea or several cups of tea for a night, and they discuss a lot of things. But in the end, then, do they end up doing very little? Is that true of the ICA?
No. I know. The ICA are doing great work around the country.
But up to now, you haven't told me an awful lot about them. They help at the agricultural show in Charleville, and do they fundraise for charities?
We do.
And what about the outing?
Yeah, we go to the outings.
But the annual outing, where does that usually take place?
Any place. We follow the sun.
Follow the sun. You've travelled abroad so for the last couple of years. Do I take it, Terry?
No, I didn't say abroad. I said we follow the sun.
Pretty scarce commodity in Ireland at the moment, the sun.
We've been all over the country.
No, they get back to the serious side of the thing. Of course, you are very active and you do great work indeed. How long is it formed in Effin?
It is in Effin since 1969, May 1969. And it started off with 45 members.
Very strong.
Very strong.
You can remember, of course, the officers at that time?
I can. The late Mrs. Sheila Ryan, she was the president, and the late Kathleen Power was the secretary. And we had Mrs. Donovan, Sadie Donovan, she was the treasurer.
How come
they were the originals?
Yeah, I'm about to ask you there. There's never a chairperson in the ICA. Is there any meaning for that? It's always a president. There's never a chairperson.
President. Well, like.
It just happens that way.
Just happens that way.
Now, for the future, how do you see it? I don't know where it's. I can't say the Effin ICA, I suppose.
Well, actually, it's Effin and Garindurk.
Effin and Garindurk.
ICA, yeah.
Do you see it maybe holding its own? Or
it will hold its own.
Will it grow again in strength back to its former days?
Hopefully it will.
Have you any plans for the younger ladies of the
Well, we'd like
area
to see the younger women coming in and keeping the thing in the parish.
But are you doing anything that, to cater for those younger
Well, if they
people?
came in and if they said what they wanted, well, we'd go along with them just to keep the thing in the parish.
Yeah, you wouldn't feel now that it would be your place to go out and do something that would entice them in? Possibly
Well, like, is
set
open.
dancing or something like that, maybe?
Well, if they came, we've tried the set dancing.
No good.
We were gone from it.
Gone from it.
Yeah.
Gone too old.
We were gone from it.
I see.
I see, yeah.
Do you see it maybe holding its own? Or
Oh, it will hold its own.
Will it grow again in strength back to its former days?
Hopefully it will.
Have you any plans for the younger ladies of the
Well, we'd like
area?
to see the younger women coming in and keeping the thing in the parish.
But are you doing anything that, to cater for those younger
Well, if they
people?
came in and if they said what they wanted, well, we'd go along with them just to keep the thing in the parish.
Yeah, you wouldn't feel now that it would be your place to go out and do something that would entice them in? Possibly set dancing or something like that, maybe?
Well, if they came, we've tried the set dancing.
No good.
We were gone from it.
Gone from it.
Yeah.
Gone too old.
We were gone from it.
You're a very unfit bunch of ladies.
No, I wouldn't say that. If our legs were as active as our minds, we'd be flying.
Terry, that's a wonderful rundown, and you certainly put great humour into the ICA, and thank you for coming along there.
Thank you very much. Thank you too, Jimmy.
I just want to get my notes.
Oh yeah, get the notes on. Right. Now after Terry Power there, who gave us a great rundown on the ICA, I'm joined by Mary McGrath on the accordion, and Mary's going to play for us some lovely hornpipes, starting with The Boys of Blue Hill.
I know, but when I'm at home, it is grand. Very nice. Is Piggy here?
There, and those nice hornpipes. I'm joined by some members of the Effin hurling club. We have John Keeve and Mike Kelly along, and John is going to fill us in the older part of the hurling club in Effin. Is it long in existence, John, the hurling club here?
Well, the present hurling club now is since 1953. But I have an older team here back from when I won the South back in 1937. And I'll give you their names now as they go along. In goal with Bill Fitz of the Hall. The full back line was Tommy Francis Blood, Pat Caddle and Jim Caddle. The half line was Johnny Ryan, Richie Barry and John Gilbert. Centre field with Tom Fitz of the Hall and Paddy Ryan, their captain. Paddy Ryan also, he won Munster Joan with Limerick.
And of course Paddy Carroll there, he was an inter-county hurler, wasn't he?
Paddy was an inter-county hurler with Limerick. He went to Joan of All Ireland and the State of All Ireland with Limerick, Paddy. Now, with Tom Fitz and Paddy Ryan, I'll go along now the half line with John Fitzgibbon, that was John, and Fitzgibbon is a Ballymac. With centre forward with William Fox Fitzgerald, we call him. And then with Mick Carroll, he's Mick Kidho Carroll, we call him. He played for Ballyhare one time. The full forward line, then we had Paddy Fitz, he was a brother of Willie's. With Johnny Carroll, full forward lined in, he was a brother of Paddy Carroll's. He played for Ballyhare in his day too. And we net away in the other corner. And the two subs of that South team that day was Tom Ray and Tom Ryan. Paddy Ryan. Then we'll come down along to the younger players. With Tom Blood, he played for both Limerick and Munster.
Was he a son of that Tommy Francis you were speaking about?
Yes,
there?
Tom now was the son of Tommy Francis. That was the 1937 team. And then we came on to Ned Ray. Ned Ray won Munster and All Ireland with Limerick in 1973. Matt Ray then, another Effin boy, he won 2 national hurling leagues with Limerick.
He was the brother of Eamons, wasn't
Brother
he?
of Eamons. With Jerry Ray then, he played for London 1973 against Limerick. We come along now with Conor Donovan, he's playing for Nina and he's the present full-back for Tipperary. So different flag is flying in every county.
There's a great tradition of hurling in
There's a great
John.
tradition of hurling. Ned Ray is the present chairman of Forest Club.
That's the Dublin
Dublin
club, yeah.
Another one of our players that left us is John Hays. He's playing for Kilmacuds in Dublin. Another player, Mike Carroll. He's playing for Bray. Matt Ray, Jack Ray and Mike Ray playing for Clahon. Jimmy Burke playing for Carmore Rovers. Noel Murphy for the Bears. Lee McCarthy for Kilmallock. That's where all our hurlers are gone at the present.
And is it employment you're blamed for they're not staying with Effin or what? John?
Well, employment, no jobs, because they all have to travel from there. Go beyond 18, they're gone from us.
And the hurling club in Effin at the moment must be pretty weak, seeing that you had named out most of a team there and all top class players.
All top class players, and we lost 3 more players. Davy Barrett through an eye injury, Jimmy Gilbert a leg, and Mike Ryan hurted his knee, so it left us with nearly 14 players in 1 year.
And do you find it a problem to keep the hurling team here then?
Well, we're keeping them at rate, but we're a bit weak, and we hope to keep going anyway, and we're trying to do the best for them. We have a field and we have everything there for them.
And back over the years there now, you mentioned players there in that 1937 team.
Yeah.
Some of them you mentioned they played with Ballyhea. There's very close ties with Ballyhea, and you were supposed to the border.
Well, we always had good ties with Bally. We always had good ties with Ballyhea, and we were a neighbouring parish, and of course there's a bit of both of the boundary. When there might be a bit of poaching at times, which is nothing about it, and that's the way things work out.
It always ironed itself out.
Always ironed itself out. We never know difference with the club.
And
we're good friends at any time.
Was that due to land, Ballyhea land going into Effin country and vice versa?
Well, yes, there's some room there. They have both land in Effin and Ballyhea.
So, and when Ballyhea would meet Effin then in a tournament or a thing, was there great rivalry? Would it tend to be a little bit maybe over robust at times?
That will be a bit of a high spirit there, all right. We'd meet now every year since the last time we met in Kilmarnock in a tournament.
And I suppose Ballyhea have, you know, they're gone up.
Ballyhea gone from us now, they're gone senior.
And for the future, the hurling club here, how do you see it? Will you struggle along, seeing that you haven't any jobs to hold the players?
I see a great future here at the present. We have a juvenile club, and we'll bring on later on who's autumn to give me home to that, and there's a great future in Effin for young people.
But of course, the facilities, you have the facilities, you have the new field.
We have the new field,
and I suppose Mike here will fill us in
Mike will fill in
on the field. Mike, did it take a lot of effort to get the field, or a lot of funds had to be generated, finance?
It took a lot of effort indeed. Well, we started out in 1978. We decided it was time to get a place so that the youth of the parish would have a place to play in. So we purchased 6.5 acres from the McCarthy family for 20,000. We had to have £2,000 of our own at the time, so we vested the field in the GAs so that we could get a cheap loan of £9,000 at 6% over 5 years. And we also got a £500 loan from the South Board of the GA, and there was no interest attached to that. So it was then a question of getting finance. So it took a bit of time by the time the solicitors had tied up the deeds and so on, so that we had to get an interim loan from the local bank. In fact, we had to change our bank because the bank we were with at the time, that's the bank that says, what can we do for you? It decided it could do nothing for us. So we changed to the other bank, and they gave us a loan, no bother. So we had to set about collecting funds, and we had a number of events. We had a Silver Circle, 45 card games, sponsored walks, barn dances, and so on and so forth. And all the other organisations in the parish, they like the ICA, the Muinter Ladies Football Club, the Badminton Club, the Pioneers, and so on. They all organised events, and they donated the proceeds towards the field.
Are you near an official opening now, shortly?
Well, we came along in 1980 and 81, and we developed the field. We built entrances, and we paled in the field and the playing pitch itself. We did it bit by bit because the finance wasn't always available, and we had to pay back the loan. So it was only 1985 that we did our first building, 1985 and 86. So we have been attempting to get a match with the Limerick senior team to play here, hopefully against Cork, but Limerick have been successful in the league down for the last few years. They won it 2 years in succession, and then they got to the quarter-final last year. They're in the quarter-final again this year, and I mean, they play so few matches between the league and the championship that it's almost impossible to get them to play.
Getting back there to the work on the field, you mentioned there that you got great cooperation from all the clubs. Was it much the same, the work that was done? Was it voluntary, a lot of the work that took place in the field, fencing and buildings and things like that?
No, it was all voluntary work. We have a small but enthusiastic committee. Unfortunately, when we bought the field, some of the members, the chairman at the time, P.J. O'Donnell, he got ill and he wasn't able to continue, and we had our treasurer at the time, Paddy Kennedy. Unfortunately, he died at the young age of 42, and we had a number of other members at the time, and they pulled out, you know. So we were lucky enough to get a few new members in, and they helped us along. We had John O'Keefe, the chairman, himself and his son-in-law, William O'Sullivan, and Tom Bluth, and so on. They put in a fantastic amount of effort. It was all voluntary effort went into the field.
Would you say now, spending a lot of money in a hurling field in a place like Effin, very close to Kilmallock, where they get all the championship matches, would you think if it'd have been better if he just geared it to a lower state, you know, that he just had facilities for the local club and things? You wouldn't ever hope to get big championship matches, would you?
Well, you never know. We've hosted a Dr. Harty Cup match and higher educational football final here. Well, the facilities are quite good. You know, the field is excellent, and so on. It doesn't cost that much. You know, we spent only 10,000 on development, which is only buttons compared to what clubs are spending nowadays. You're talking about clubhouses, 50,000 is nothing. So we've only spent 30,000 altogether, which is small money, you know. So at least we have the facilities for the local youth, and you know, there's no cause why they should leave the club here to go on to other clubs. In fact, some of our players went on to clubs that even haven't got pitches.
So you'd say that it is possibly for the younger players, you're gearing the pitch to hold on to the players for the future of the team in Effin, strengthening or getting back to a good team like you had years gone by.
Well, you've got to start with the youth, I think now at this stage. But I mean, the field is there for everybody in the parish to play, and we hope to add on tennis courts and maybe handball alley and squash court maybe in time to come. I mean, there's lots of space there for development, and we hope to, you know, that everybody will use the field.
And we'll come back to John here for a moment. That was a great rundown there, Mike, on the field itself. Back over the years now, John, the most outstanding players you had, you mentioned some of them there. There's some All-Ireland medal holders in there as well. Do you see any in the future now, any player from Effin getting on the Limerick team? Is there any young boy coming up now that's showing great promise?
Well, we wanted the president, he's fit for his standards, Dennis Donovan.
But he's with Tipperary, you were saying?
No, Connor, his brother. Dennis is fit for a county team if he got to run any time.
He's still at minor level?
No, he's under 21.
But do you find at all that they need a bit of a pull, a country fella, to get on a team?
An awful pull.
It means a lot.
It means a lot. The pull means a lot. You won't get nowhere without a pull.
No, I suppose that's very true indeed. Gentlemen, that's a great rundown on the hurling in Effin and the grounds and all. Thank you both for coming on. Tell me all about it.
October 1677 was a day of great renown. Our Captain Jim, he led his team down to Kilmallock town. The South final day had come, array the stakers were the kill. But we had no doubt they'd win the South, the boys from sweet Effin. From Brickfield came our goalie, Connie Daly was his name. You'd hear them shout as he swept the ball out with his craft, skill and fame. From Ballymac came our three full-backs, Jim, Mike and Pat. Where would we be without them, you see, the boys from sweet Effin? Now trainer Tom, so brave and strong, 'twas he had the boys in trim. At left and right he had miners might, my Carol Davy Barrett so prim. At centre field you had Captain Jim, he was always in command. And with Ryan at his side we were filled with pride, as Jim scored for sweet Effin. Now there's Joe and Lee, Maneely too, they bravely show their skill. With an eagle's eye, Joe let fly 2 points for sweet Effin. Or for forward line we had Brickfield strong, the McCarthy boys and Matt. 'Twas our pride and joy when Dennis shot by, the final goal for sweet Effin. So hip hip hooray for our gallant PJ and our boys from sweet Effin.
A slight error there now introducing Mary. I mentioned that 77 was the last time Effin won South Final. In fact, it was 82, and Mary was along that day as well. And she has a nice song all about that famous team right now for us.
It's 5 years since we won the South Final. That joy's again with us today. Our victory is ever more precious. Our Patrick this time was our prey. Here's to Barney's heroes, the champs of the South, you see. They're our parish's joy, everyone's boy, the 1982 Effin team. The paper said just a formality, our Patrick to play on that day. But it turned into reality when the Effin boys snatched it away. Here's to Barney's heroes, the champs of the South, you see. They're our parish's joy, everyone's boy, the 1982 Effin team. Our selectors, they had a great challenge to pick the best team for that day. But when Hays shot the spinner, they picked on the winner, and our Patrick's big dream passed away. Here's to Barney's heroes, the champs of the South, you see. They're our parish's joy, everyone's boy, the 1982 Effin team.
Gentlemen, she tells me she's a blow-in to Effin. Former Tipperary lady, she's not a blow-in, she said, but she came from Tipperary, so you can make up your own mind whether she blew-in or not. She's here for how many years, Sadie?
22 years, the 14th of December, the year of our Lord 1964. We arrived in the parish of Effin.
What tempted you to come into County Limerick?
Well, my husband is a Limerick man, County Limerick man. I'm from Tipperary myself, very proud of it. Now delighted to be in Limerick. But we were farming and, well, for personal reasons and one thing and the other, decided to change.
Your husband, yourself, you were farming. You're married,
Yes.
a farmer.
I married a farmer. I was bred, born and reared on a farm.
Yourself.
Myself.
You come from a great Gaelic family, hurling family.
Oh, I do, yeah.
You might tell us a bit about a very famous brother you had.
Well, you could call me lucky or unlucky, whichever you like. I'm of a family of 7, 6 brothers and me Effin. And every one of the 6 brothers hurled. No, I think, you know, they usually talk about the girls as being the roses amongst the thorns. I think I was a thorn amongst the roses because all the roses of our family hurled, you see, and there wasn't much space for me in that field. But all my brothers hurled. But let's see now. One of them has an All-Ireland minor medal playing full-back for Tipperary way back in 1949. Another one played full-back for Tipperary in 1951. Some of them played in the forwards at minor level as well and then moved out of Tipperary. I have a brother who played centre-back for the London Irish team that won the All-Ireland Junior honours way back. And then Terry came along and he found a niche in the goals when he was at school in St. Flannan's College and the Harty Cup teams. And they won All-Ireland or Harty Cup honours. And they were beaten by Kilkenny in the All-Ireland final.
United front, and I think we have proved that so far anyway, that they will, if Paddy keeps his end up, the parish should get a long way.
I'm quite sure Paddy will. And we'll have a few words with Paddy now. Do you find, Paddy, some parents don't fancy their children going hurling? That it has become rather dangerous?
No, I wouldn't say that, like. If the club children work together like we're working now, before it was all up or Effin, like, and there was nothing There no one below lower Effin. The whole of man. They've been the young lads together, like. Now they're all coming up. And they're working well together, like.
So you'd be saying that the fact that you're from Lower Effin has something to do with that?
Well, it is, yeah. We asked them, like, and went around to the door to them. They come up and they did. Ever since, like.
Would you say that the purchase of the new field maybe had something to do with that?
As yeah.
It generated up the interest for the parents as well?
Nothing below, like.
Now, for the coming year, what way do you think your juveniles will get along?
Well, we're hoping to do like it last year and win the championship again in both grades.
I'll come back to Anne there for the concluding words. Running a juvenile club, is it very expensive, Anne?
Pretty expensive. At the price of hurlers at the moment, it is crazy considering we should play a vet and our hurlers, which every government have been approached about it. They all say they're going to do something about it, but when it comes down to paying, I'm afraid Charlie will have to get his act together and get
the vet off
the hurlers for us, because it's our club last year, our juvenile club last year, cost over £1,000 alone, and that's only at Grade C in South Limerick.
Be hoping, I suppose, in the years to come that you'll have successes, possibly maybe teams as good as 1977 and 1982, those great teams that won the South there.
Hopefully, and I'll read out for you a team that won in 1977. They won the South Limerick Championship. In goal was Connie Daly, cornerback Paddy Sheedy, Jim Maloney, Mike Carroll, Davy Barrett, Tom Blood, Mike Carroll. Mike Carroll at the chapel. There were two Mike Carrolls. Mike Carroll at the chapel, we call that split.
Yeah.
Jimmy Gilbert, Mike Ryan, Neely Barry, Liam Ryan and Joe Ryan, Peter McCarthy, Dennis McCarthy and Matt Ray.
And now, before we leave that team for a moment, then, would they have children on the present juvenile teams now?
Some of them have. We have their children are playing with us now at underage level. Some of the children of those teams.
No, the 82 team, which is much later, and they were a team, I think, that brought great pleasure or great joy to the parish. They were complete underdogs in a South final way back in that year.
Yes.
And your arch rivals, our Partick, were the people that were at the wrong end of it at the end of that day in Kilmallock.
Yeah, and that particular team was in goal with Dennis McCarthy, Paddy Sheedy, Mike Carroll, Jimmy Gilbert, Davy Barrett, Lee McCarthy and Joe Ryan. Now Jack Ray and Matt Ray were centre field, Tony Dillon, Dennis O'Donovan, Mike Dillon, Liam Ryan, Jimmy Burke, Jim Maloney. And the subs were John Hays.
That was a team you think that these young boys could emulate in a couple of years' time?
No problem, with a bit of commitment, and I think we'll get that eventually, with the commitment we have at the moment in the club.
Well, with officers like yourself and Paddy here in command, I think that's a commitment should surely be forthcoming. And thank you both for speaking with me and telling me all about the juvenile club in Effin here.
Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to hear our views on North Cork Local Radio.
Thank you again. In here with us, and he's singing a song this time, Londonderry.
I know a whisper's of great fame, and it lies toward the north, and I'll tell you its name. It's my own native birthplace, and 'tis all I reside, far away from London and Derry, on the banks of the Effin. I worked hard, no, I was young, I was foolish, like the rest of the boys. I had no great sorrow,
Not yet many joy. I worked hard for a living, and hard did I toil, far away from London, Jerry, on the banks of the Effin. I then took a notion for to cross o'er the sea, to try make a fortune for Mary and me. A fortune I'll gain by, and 'tis homeward I'll go, to my own native birthplace, to a wee girl I know. I'll build her a mansion, and 'tis all I resile, far away from London and Jerry, on the banks of the Effin.
By now by the gentleman that organised all this great night here, along with John O'Keefe. John Murphy is the gentleman in question, no strangers indeed to listeners out there around North Cork and South Limerick and County Limerick. John, was it a big job at organising this night? You got great talent along. Did you think there was such talent in the parish of Effin?
Well, I know that was there, Jimmy, but there's one particular man that I must really give the higher praise to, and that's my neighbour, Jack Keefe. Really and truly.
Jack and yourself, you got together on the effort and it worked out very well.
Well, there is no better than him. Really and truly.
You put a lot of time into it, John. It took quite a few weeks to organise it all.
It took a few weeks, all right, Jimmy. But certainly it came up trumps in the finish.
And can you see other nights in the future, possibly? You'll bring us back to Effin to do recordings like tonight?
Possibly again, Jimmy. Possibly again.
John, you have a nice song for us here tonight.
I have, Jimmy. The Banks of the Roses. I don't know what all, every song's like that. I think feels like where the love comes into it.
John, maybe that's all due to a lady that's sitting quite near to us here, your wife Mary.
Well, that was the team that I hated one time, and that was Tipperary. I hated the sight of them. But no, I absolutely adore them.
I believe she's the boss, John, that she changed you completely from being a staunch Limerick man to... I heard the last day that Tip were playing Limerick that you were nearly shouting for Tip. Is that true? I can hardly believe it.
Well, I wouldn't say so, Jim.
You wouldn't say it has gone that far?
It hasn't gone that far yet, just it didn't.
But it's heading in that direction.
Yeah?
You're singing all these love songs, sir. It's not a good sign.
Well,
it's a great sign, I suppose.
Well, certainly, like, she's the boss in this, like, she's the boss in this. Like, when I get out, she said to me tonight, she said, you're coming, she said, you better include, she said, some sort of a love song again. She said, right?
You can't beat a good love song, John.
No, Jimmy.
John, in your own time there.
The Banks of the Roses.
The Banks of the Roses.
Come on, Mary. Come on up here. Up here. Up here, Mary. On the banks of the roses, my love and I sat down, and I took out me fiddle for to play me love a tune. In the middle of the tune, oh, she sighed and she said, oh, Johnny, lovely Johnny, would you let me? Oh, when I was a young lad, I heard me father say he'd rather see me dead than buried in the clay, sooner than be married to any runaway by the lovely sweet banks of the roses. On the banks of the roses, me love and I sat down, And I took out me fiddle for to play me love a tune. In the middle of the tune, oh, she sighed and she said, oh, Johnny, lovely Johnny, would you leave me? And if ever I get married, 'twill be in the month of May, and me true love will kiss and court and play by the lovely sweet banks of the roses. On the banks of the roses, me love, and I sit down, and I took out me fiddle for to play me love a tune. In the middle of the tune, oh, she sighed and she said, oh, Johnny, lovely Johnny, would you let me?
With another love song, would you believe? And he's dedicating it specially to Mary again on this occasion. It's called Love is Teasing.
For love is teasing, and love is pleasing, and love is a pleasure when first it's new. But as love grows colder, sure love grows older, and fades away like the morning dew. I left my father, I left my mother, I left all my friends and relations too. I left the side of my grave companions, I left them all for to follow you. And love is pleasing, and love is a pleasure when first it's new. But as love grows colder, sure love grows older, and fades away like the morning dew.
And although she says she's married to a Corkman, she'll never let down her native county Limerick. The song is all about Limerick. It's called Limerick, You're a Lady.
Limerick, you're my lady, your Shannon waters, tears of joy did flow. The beauty that surrounds you, I'll take it with me, love, where'er I go. While waking in the arms of distant waters, and you that finds me far away from home. But Limerick, you're my lady, the one true love that I had ever known. As children, you and I played endless games of fun, in winter's snow or summer's golden sun. We fished in silver streams, the fabric of my dreams was fashioned by your loveliness, and so I have to say, Limerick, you're my lady, your Shannon waters, tears of joy that flow. the beauty that surrounds you. I'll take it with me, love, wherever I go. While waking in the arms of distant waters, a new day finds me far away from home. But Limerick, you're my lady, the one true love that I had ever known.
We have Veronica O'Shea and we have Mary McGrath, and along with them is Margot Crean, and they have some nice music and song for us now, starting with Don't Let Me Cross Over.
Don't let me cross over love's cheating line. You belong to another, you'll never be mine. No one step closer will be heaven divine. Don't let me cross over love's cheating line. Tempted, my darling, to steal you away. So help me, my darling, stay out of my way. You know that I love you, but I'm not the cheating kind. I'm faced with a heartache at love's cheating line. Don't let me cross over love's cheating line. You belong to another, you'll never be mine. I know one step closer will be heaven divine. Don't let me cross over love's cheating line. Was on a dreary New Year's Eve as the shades of night came down, a lorry load of volunteers approached a border town. There were men from Dublin and from Cork, Fermanagh and Tyrone, but the leader was Limerick man, shone south from Garryon. And as they marched along the streets up to the barrack doors, they scorned the dangers they would meet, their fate that lay in store. They were fighting for old Ireland to claim their very own. And the foremost of that gallant band was south from Garryon. But the sergeant spied their daring plans, he spied them through the door. The stem guns and the rifles too, a hail of death did pour. And when that awful night had passed, 2 men lay as cold as stone. There was one from near the border, and one from Garryon. No more he'll heed a seagull's cry, or the murmuring Shannon tide, for he fell beneath the battering Plunkett, Pierce and Tone, a martyr for old Ireland, shone south from Garryon.
Now I'm joined by Anna Maria Kennedy, and she's going to tell us about a very famous man from Effin. I suppose you couldn't leave Effin without getting account of this great man. He's, of course, Brother Russell. And Stephen Russell, he had appeared in the Late Late Show and several times on television and radio. So, Anne Maria, you might give us a short rundown of his life and the time he spent in Effin.
Brother Stephen Russell. He was born at Thomastown, Kimella, County Limerick on Christmas Day in 1911. He was educated at the Christian Brothers School in Charleville, to which he either walked or travelled in a donkey's buggy with 6 or 7 other people, each day a distance of 3.5 miles. He joined the Irish Army at the start of World War II in 1939 and served in the 1st Cycle Squadron, being stationed in Collins Barracks, Cork, Fermoy, Fynes, Listowel and Sarsfield Barracks in Limerick. He was well known and popular as a comedian in the Southern Command Entertainment Group. At the end of the emergency, he was discharged from the army in 1943. He joined the congregation of the Alexian Brothers in Warrenpint, County Down, in September 1945. He reached the habit on the feast of St. Alexis, 17th of July 1946, and was professed on the 17th of July 1948. Transferred to the novitiate of the Alexian Order in Cove, County Cork in 1948, and helped in the establishment of the foundation of the novitiate house there. Transferred to the Alexian Monastery in Mostoon Cemetery, the largest Catholic cemetery in the United Kingdom, where he spent the next 3 years burying the dead, for which purpose the Alexian Order was originally found. He was later transferred to Henry Chapelle in Belgium in 1954, where he served on the nursing staff for 3 years. It was while Brother Stephen was in Belgium he started writing poetry and sent it regularly to the Limerick Leader and later to the Limerick Weekly Echo. He returned to Park Royal, London in 1957, where he served on the night staff for a period of 2 years. In 1961 he returned to Ireland as vocational promoter of the Alexian Brothers and spent 4 years travelling all over Ireland, visiting schools, seeking out postulants for the order. He was transferred back to Manchester in 1965, where he served on the nursing staff. It was there in Manchester in 1973 where he worked for the homeless and destitute, and he volunteered with a brother, Anthony Fair, to fulfil the request by the late Dr. Murphy, Bishop of Limerick, to help the continuity of staffing the Simon Community Hostel at Charlotte Quay in Limerick, which had been established some 3 to 4 years previously. His first book of poems, There But For the Grace of God, was published in 1972, and Brother Russell donated the entire proceeds of his sale to the Simon Community Building Fund. And I'll now read one of his poems. It's called Down on One Knee at the Door. I am a small farmer in Effin, in a townsland that is called Ballymac. It is a great rush to Mass on Sunday, for it's nearly 8 miles there and back. What with the cows to be milked just at daybreak and a gallop to the creamery and store. It's a matter of split-second timing, so I'm drop on one knee at the door. I have worn out about a dozen young curates, and of parish priests not a few, for they all did their best but unavailing to push me right up to the front pew. Sure my father he knelt there before me, and his father before. So there like a rock I keep kneeling, down on one knee at the door. Now it is not that I am lukewarm, in my own way I feel quite close to God, and I do all my best to serve him on the way that his own son had trod. And when he is raised up at the elevation, with love my poor heart it does soar, then I whisper, "Oh Master, I love you," even though I am down on one knee at the door. Once, when the church there was a mission, the preacher came racing outside, and all the Shonines clustered round me, melted away like a tide. But there I kept firmly rooted, as solid as a pile on the shore, and the good father just smiled and said, "Bless you." So I stayed on one knee at the door. All the others have got their fine motors. I have my old creamery cart. But when Mass is nearly over, I'm away to a real flying start. With my pony flat out on a gallop, I say a dozen aves or more, and I hope that appeases the master for being down on one knee at the door. I love my sweet farm in Effin, but I am not one bit afraid to face death, and I am always quite ready to meet it. Sure, it will be my first holiday on earth. And if I find heaven all crowded, I will do as I did here before. I will say to St. Peter, "This will suit me," then I shall drop on one knee at the door.
Piece of poetry and a great rundown in Brother Russell's life. Brother Stephen there.
Farewell, my country, a long farewell. My tale of anguish no tongue can tell. For I'm forced to fly o'er the ocean wide, from the home I love by Loch Sheelan side. How proud was I of my girl so fair, I was envied most by the young men there. When I brought her back, a bashful bride, to my cottage home by Loch Sheelan side. Farewell, my love. Oh, gee, I'm damned to hell altogether. Sorry.
Okay, we'd like to thank you all for coming here tonight voluntary. And I would also like to thank North Cork as well as coming on and recording you here. Well, this programme would not be possible except for one man that done a right research for the parish of Effin here, and I would like you to put your hands together and give a big round of applause to John Keefe.
Johns for organising it with a great night with you, and we'll be going out in about 6 or 7 weeks over the year, and sometime in the future we hope you'll invite us back again, 12 months or so, or maybe less, and we'll have a similar night. Thank you all for such great sports and coming along and talking with us and playing music and singing your songs.
Now is the hour when we must.
They're only testing, they're only testing.
No, John.
Right.
Yeah. I can, yeah. And so we've come to the last item for the night, and we have John Murphy, the chief organiser, and he's going to lead a sing-song here, and the first number is Now is the Hour, and we'll have Mary McGrath and Veronica O'Shea on their accordions, and all the people here will join in.
Come on, Margaret. Come on, Margaret. Come on, Margaret. Right, Mary.
Now is the hour when we must say goodbye. Soon I'll retiring far across the sea. While I'm away, oh please remember me. When I return, you'll come.
and country that I love. Lost my heart in the Black Hills of Dakota, where the mountains are high and the sky above. And when I get that lonesome feeling and I'm miles away from home, I hear the sounds of the distant mountains calling me back home. Take me back to the Black Hills of Dakota, to the beautiful Indian country that I love.
I belong to Glasgow, dear old Glasgow town. There's something the matter with Glasgow, for it's going round and round. We're only a couple of working chaps, as anyone here can see. When I get a couple of drinks on a Saturday, Glasgow belongs to me. The same old song they sing, I love you. The boys are all mad about Nellie, the daughter of Officer Kelly, and it's all it's going round and round. I'm only a couple of working chap, as anyone here can see. When I get a couple of drinks and the Saturday, Glasgow belongs to me. Angels are coming to watch o'er thy sleep. Angels are coming to watch o'er thee. So listen to the wind coming over the sea. Hear the wind blow.
a song side by side.
You know the Scottish selection, Mrs. Donovan, Roman and the Gloman.
I already do, but my vibes have gone.
Will you give me his old man?
I don't know.
You don't know?
That's it.
Get up there.